You've felt it, haven't you? Something building. You feel it in your chest sometimes. This tightness that isn't quite anxiety, but isn't quite excitement either. Something you can't name but can't ignore. If you clicked on a video called The Most Important Year in Human History, it's because some part of you already knows. And I know something about you. I know you're probably watching this late at night. When the world gets quiet and you can finally hear yourself think, I know you've been feeling a strange kind of restlessness lately, like your old life doesn't quite fit anymore, like you're waiting for something, but you don't know what. I know you've had moments, maybe at 2 a.m., maybe stuck in traffic, maybe in the shower, where this thought appears. Is this really it? Is this really my life? Am I supposed to be doing something else? And I know you've wondered if something's wrong with you for feeling this way. There isn't. You found this video for a reason. Out of everything you could be watching right now, out of all the content, all the distractions, all the noise, something led you here. To this specific video about this specific year. I don't think that's random. I think some part of you, call it your intuition, your higher self, your soul, already senses that something massive is shifting in the world and in your own life. And that part of you needs to understand what's actually happening. Not so you can fear it, so you can participate in it. Consciously, intentionally, powerfully. What I'm about to share with you over the next hour is going to change how you see everything. Your restlessness, the chaos in the world, the sense that nothing works the way it used to, the feeling that you're standing at some kind of threshold. You're going to understand why. Not a vague sense of things are changing, the specific, cosmic, documented reason why everything feels like it's building towards something. Because in 2026, 3 of the slowest moving planets in our solar system, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus, are all entering new signs. All 3. In the same year, and 2 of them are meeting at 0 degrees Aries, the very first degree of the entire zodiac, for the first time in our lifetimes. This isn't just a big year astrologically. This is a once-in-a-century convergence. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that means. For the world, yes, but more importantly, for you. For why you're alive right now. For what you came here to do. So settle in. Because what you're feeling isn't anxiety. It isn't weakness. It isn't something wrong with you. It's preparation. And it's time you understood what you're being prepared for. Let's begin. Before we dive into the astrology, I want to spend some time here with you, with what you've actually been experiencing. Because I think you've been carrying something, and I think you've been carrying it alone. The last few years have been a lot. I don't need to tell you that. You've lived it. You've felt every wave of it. But here's what I want to name. It's not just the world that's been chaotic. It's something inside you too. Something that's been shifting, unsettling, refusing to let you rest. Maybe it shows up as this strange inability to be satisfied with what used to be enough. The job that once felt like an achievement now feels like a cage. The relationship that once felt like home now feels like performing. The version of yourself you worked so hard to build now feels like a costume you're tired of wearing. And there's this voice, usually late at night, when everyone else is asleep and you're lying there with your thoughts. It asks questions you're almost afraid to answer. What am I doing with my life? Why can't I just be happy with what I have? Is this really all there is? I know about those questions. I know they come with guilt. Because you're supposed to be grateful. Because other people have it worse. Because you've done everything you were told would make you happy, and it should be working. But it's not. And the gap between how your life looks on the outside and how it feels on the inside, that gap has been growing. Can I tell you something? You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're not going through some kind of crisis you need to medicate away or talk yourself out of. What you're experiencing is the completely natural, completely appropriate response of a sensitive soul to a world that is being fundamentally restructured. You're not failing to adjust. You're refusing to settle. And that refusal, that inner knowing that says there has to be more, that's not weakness. That's intelligence. I know you've been searching for something. I know about your browser history, the tabs about life purpose, and why do I feel like something big is coming, and spiritual awakening symptoms. I know you've read your horoscope more times this month than you'd admit. Maybe you've pulled cards at midnight, alone, asking the same question different ways, hoping for clarity that doesn't quite come. There's this hunger to understand, to know what's happening, to find someone, anyone, who can make sense of what you're feeling. I see that, and I want you to know that hunger is holy. That search is not escapism, it's not avoidance. It's your soul trying to orient itself in a world that's changing faster than anyone prepared you for. Here's what I want you to understand. The restlessness you've been feeling, it's not random, it's not neurosis, it's not something wrong with your brain chemistry. It's accurate perception. You have been sensing in your body, in your nervous system, in your late night thoughts, something that is actually, cosmically, verifiably true. The world is at a turning point, and so are you. I think about what it must feel like to be you right now, caught between worlds. You can't go back to who you were before. That version of you, the one who could just go along with things, who could ignore the questions, who could find satisfaction in the surface, she's gone, or he's gone. That innocence is over. But you can't yet see what's ahead. The new life, the new world, the new you, it's still forming, still emerging, still just out of reach. So you're in between, suspended, waiting. And waiting is exhausting. Maybe it hits hardest on Sunday nights. That particular dread that isn't just about Monday, it's about another week of performing a life that doesn't feel like yours. The weight of putting the mask back on. Maybe you've started to feel like something's wrong with you because no one around you seems to be feeling what you're feeling. Your friends are posting vacations. Your co-workers are complaining about normal things. Your family wants to know why you seem off, and you can't explain it. Because how do you say, I feel like reality itself is shifting, and I don't know how to exist anymore? You can't, so you don't. So you carry it alone. But you're not alone. Right now, all over the world, people are lying awake at night with the same questions you have. People are feeling the same pull towards something they can't name. People are looking at their lives and thinking, this isn't it. This can't be all. You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're part of something. I want you to put your hand on your chest right now. Feel your heart beating. Feel the breath moving in and out. That body, the one that's been carrying all this weight, all this confusion, all this unnamed longing, that body has been trying to tell you something. And I need you to hear this part clearly, because I think you've been waiting for someone to say it. There is nothing wrong with you. The sensitivity that makes everything feel like too much, that's not weakness. That's the capacity to feel what others can't or won't. The restlessness that won't let you settle, that's not dysfunction, that's integrity. That's a soul that refuses to pretend. The feeling that you don't fit in this world, maybe you weren't meant to fit in this world. Maybe you were meant to help build the next one. You've been treating your gifts like curses, your perception like paranoia, your hunger for meaning like a character flaw. Stop. What you carry is exactly what this moment in history needs. And now I want to show you why. I want to show you what's actually happening cosmically, astrologically, energetically, that's creating this pressure you've been feeling. Because once you understand the why, everything changes. The chaos starts to make sense. The pain has a purpose. And what felt like falling apart starts to look like something else entirely. Like labor, Let me give you the cosmic context for what you've been living through. In astrology, we talk about different categories of planets. The inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, move quickly and shape our day-to-day lives. But the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and to some extent Saturn, these are the generational shapers. These are the planets that define eras. When Neptune changes signs, it stays there for about 14 years. When Uranus changes signs, it stays for about 7 years. These aren't transits you feel for a week or a month. These are transits that reshape civilizations. And in 2026, three of these slow-moving planets are making major moves, all three, in the same year. This almost never happens. So let's meet them. Let's understand what's coming and why it matters so much. We'll start with Neptune. Neptune is the dream weaver, the veil thinner, the planet that dissolves boundaries between what you can see and what you can only feel. For 15 years, since 2011, Neptune has been in Pisces, its home sign. And you've felt this, even if you didn't have the words for it. This is the transit that brought spirituality into the mainstream. Suddenly, everyone had a therapist. Everyone was talking about trauma, about boundaries, about emotional intelligence. Meditation went from fringe to normal. Astrology moved from newspaper columns to apps with millions of users. Psychedelics went from counterculture to clinical trials. Neptune in Pisces dissolved the boundary between spiritual and everyday. It made the invisible visible. It made feelings matter. And it was beautiful, but it was also overwhelming. Sometimes the empathy was too much. Sometimes the sensitivity felt like drowning. Sometimes the collective pain you were absorbing wasn't even yours. But now Neptune is moving. On January 26th, 2026, Neptune enters Aries. And this is not a small shift. Neptune hasn't been in Aries since 1861. Let that land. The last time Neptune was in Aries was 1861 to 1875. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine what that meant. Imagine being alive when the idea that all humans deserve freedom went from a dangerous dream to something people were willing to die for. Imagine watching the world you knew, built on systems everyone said were permanent, come apart because a vision demanded it. This is the transit of the American Civil War, when the ideal of freedom became worth fighting for. Literally. This is the transit of the abolition of slavery, when a dream that seemed impossible became reality through tremendous sacrifice. This is the transit of the early industrial revolution, when visionary ideas transformed the physical world. That's Neptune in Aries. Dreams so powerful they remake reality. And now it returns. Neptune in Aries doesn't just dream. Neptune in Aries acts on dreams. It's spirituality with courage, idealism with fire, and it will be with us until 2039. What this means for you is this: the era of passive spirituality is ending. Neptune in Pisces let us feel, heal, and dream. Neptune in Aries demands that we do something with those dreams. That vision you've been holding, the one you've been waiting for permission to pursue, the knowing that keeps coming back no matter how many times you push it away. 2026 is when it starts demanding action. Not force, not aggression, but courage. The willingness to fight for what you believe, to stand up for what you know is true. And here's where it gets extraordinary. Because Neptune isn't entering Aries alone. On February 13th, 2026, Saturn enters Aries. Saturn, the great teacher, the master builder, the planet that says, ideas are wonderful. Now show me the work. Saturn has a reputation for being difficult. And it's true, Saturn doesn't let you skip steps. It doesn't let you build on sand. It insists on foundations, on discipline, on doing things properly. But Saturn isn't punishment. It's maturation. It's the cosmos asking, are you ready to be responsible for what you're creating? For 3 years, Saturn has been in Pisces, the sign of endings, completion, dissolution. You've probably felt this. Old structures in your life falling away. Things that used to work suddenly not working. The grief of letting go. That was the clearing. Now comes the building. And here's the part that changes everything. Around February 19th and 20th, 2026, Saturn and Neptune will meet at 0 degrees Aries. I need you to understand what this means. 0 degrees Aries is called the Aries point. It's where the zodiac begins. It's the cosmic page one. It's the place where all potential gathers before becoming form. When planets meet here, they're not just starting a new cycle, they're writing the first sentence of a new story. Saturn and Neptune together is already rare. It happens roughly every 36 years. But Saturn and Neptune meeting at the very first degree of the zodiac, at the exact point where everything begins. This is once in many lifetimes. And when Saturn, the planet of structure, reality, and physical form, meets Neptune, the planet of dreams, spirit, and collective vision, at this exact degree, it's as if the cosmos is saying, what you dream now, you can build. What you envision now, you can make real. The doorway between imagination and manifestation is wide open. This is why. This is the answer to the question in the title. This is why 2026 is the most important year in human history. Because at this exact moment, 0 degrees Aries, February 2026, the cosmos is planting a seed that will grow for the next century. And you are here to witness it, to participate in it, to help it take root. This is the seed moment. This is the genesis. And you, alive, awake, watching this, you are here for it. But there's one more player we need to meet. On April 25th, 2026, Uranus enters Gemini. Uranus, the lightning bolt, the great awakener, the planet that shatters whatever has become stagnant so something new can emerge. Since 2018, Uranus has been in Taurus, revolutionizing our relationship with money, security, values, cryptocurrency, remote work, supply chains breaking and rebuilding. Everything we thought was stable being revealed as anything but. Now Uranus is moving into Gemini, the sign of the mind, of communication, of information. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was 1941 to 1949. I want you to really feel what those years contained. This isn't just a date range in a history book. This is the transit that shaped your grandparents' world, and through them, yours. 1941. World War II expands to global scale. Information becomes a weapon unlike anything seen before. Propaganda machines run at full power on every side. Truth becomes the first casualty. 1942 to 1945. The war continues. And underneath it, in secret laboratories, scientists are working on something that will change humanity forever. The Manhattan Project. The atomic bomb. A communication of power so devastating it makes previous warfare obsolete. 1945. The bomb drops. Twice. And the world that exists after is not the world that existed before. The information of how to split an atom has restructured reality itself. 1945 to 1949. The United Nations forms a new structure for global communication. Television begins its spread into homes, a new structure for mass information. The Cold War begins, a conflict fought as much through information, ideology, and perception as through weapons. All of this under Uranus in Gemini, and now it returns. Not to the world of radio and early television, to the world of artificial intelligence, global social media, information warfare at scale. What happened to communication between 1941 and 1949 is about to happen again. The technologies are different. The revolutionary force is the same. And you reading this, watching this, alive right now, you are the generation who will navigate this transformation, who will decide whether these tools liberate or imprison, whether information becomes wisdom or just noise. That's not a metaphor. That's your assignment. So this is the big three. Neptune in Aries, dreams learning to fight. Saturn in Aries, structures being built with authentic foundations. Uranus in Gemini, revolution in how we think, learn, and communicate. Three massive cosmic shifts, all in 1 year, creating a convergence of beginnings that hasn't happened in centuries. This is why 2026 is the most important year in human history. Not because of what happens to us, but because of what's possible to create, to build, to become. So, what does this actually mean for the world? You clicked on a global forecast. Let me give you one. In the realm of technology and AI, the artificial intelligence revolution isn't slowing down. Uranus in Gemini will accelerate it beyond what most people are preparing for. But this isn't just about new tools. It's about a fundamental shift in how we relate to information, to communication, to what's real. Expect deepfakes that are indistinguishable from reality. Expect AI companions that feel like genuine relationships. Expect the question, what's true, to become the central challenge of the age. But also expect breakthroughs. Expect translation technologies that dissolve language barriers. Expect educational tools that adapt to how you actually learn. Expect access to knowledge that was previously gatekept by institutions and geography. The question isn't whether AI changes everything. The question is who shapes how it changes everything. In political and social structures, Saturn-Neptune in Aries doesn't tolerate structures built on illusion. If a system is maintained through manipulation, through keeping people confused, through power without accountability, it will face pressure like it's never faced before. Some structures will crack and reveal how hollow they always were. Others will reform, become more transparent, find new foundations. This isn't a prediction that everything gets better. It's a prediction that what's fake gets harder to maintain. What you do with that revelation is the variable in spirituality and meaning. Neptune in Aries means the spiritual landscape is about to get loud, active, sometimes aggressive. New movements will emerge. Some will be genuine, people finding direct connection to something sacred outside institutional control, rooted in authentic experience. Some will be dangerous, charismatic leaders, weaponizing spiritual language for ego and control. Your discernment matters here more than ever. Not every confident voice is a wise one. Not every spiritual claim is true because it feels powerful. The shadow of Neptune in Aries is the holy warrior, certain they have the truth, willing to harm in service of their vision. Don't be that, and don't follow that. In economics and work, the ground is shifting. What we consider valuable, how we exchange value, how we think about work itself, all of this is in flux. Uranus in Taurus already destabilized our assumptions about money. Uranus in Gemini will destabilize our assumptions about what labor even means. As AI handles more of what humans used to do, we'll be forced to ask, what is work for? What is a human for? These aren't just philosophical questions anymore. They're practical questions every person alive will face in the next decade. This is the global forecast, not pretty predictions, not doom, transformation. The kind that asks everything of us. the kind that separates who we've been from who we're becoming. Now, I want to shift something. I've given you the transits, I've shown you the timing, but information alone doesn't transform. What transforms is meaning. So I want to give you an image, a way of understanding all of this that might change how you see everything. What if the world isn't dying? What if it's giving birth? Think about that for a moment. Think about what birth actually looks like from the inside. There's pressure, increasing, relentless pressure. The kind that makes you want to scream. Make it stop. There's pain. Not the pain of something going wrong, but the pain of something trying to emerge. There's the terrifying sense that the container that held everything is breaking apart. There's the moment where it feels like too much, where you think, I can't do this, I can't survive this. And then, breakthrough. And life. What we've been living through. The chaos. The crumbling institutions. The sense that nothing works the way it used to. This isn't death. This is labor. And 2026. 2026 is when the water breaks. Think about the last several years through this lens. The early contractions started maybe around 2012, 2015. Things that felt off, but you could still function between. You could still pretend things were normal, but you noticed. You felt the squeeze. You sensed something was coming even when everyone around you acted like nothing was wrong. Then, things intensified. 2020 hit like active labor. Suddenly, you couldn't ignore the contractions anymore. They were all-consuming. Everything changed. The whole world went inside. Systems that seemed permanent revealed themselves as fragile, and everyone, whether they admitted it or not, felt it. The years since then, labor continuing, intensifying, the contractions getting closer together. This is why so many people you know are going through massive life changes at the same time. Relationships ending, careers shifting, identities being questioned, breakdowns and breakthroughs happening everywhere you look. It's not that everyone suddenly decided to have a crisis. It's that we're all in the same labor room. We're all being compressed by the same cosmic contractions. And like active labor, this is the phase where you can't go back to normal between the waves. This is all-consuming. This is everything. What happens in February 2026 when Saturn and Neptune meet at 0 degrees Aries? This is what's called transition in labor. The hardest part. The part that comes right before the baby is born. In physical birth, transition is when everything feels impossible. When the body is pushed to its absolute limit. When the person giving birth often says out loud, I can't do this. I can't. I want to stop. If you've been feeling that way about your life, about the world, about everything, I want you to know that's not failure. That's not weakness. That's transition. And the truth about transition is this. It comes right before the breakthrough. The moment it feels most impossible is the moment you're closest to delivery. So, when the next few months feel intense, when the energy feels like too much, I want you to remember this image. Remember that labor feels like dying when you're in it. Remember that the pressure isn't destruction, it's delivery. So what is actually being born? What's trying to emerge through all of this pain? I think it's a new way of being human, a new relationship between who we are and how we live. For too long, we've accepted a world where our spiritual values stayed in one compartment and our real lives stayed in another. Where we'd meditate in the morning and then spend 8 hours doing work that drained our souls. Where we talk about manifestation and then feel completely powerless against systems that seemed unchangeable. That separation is ending. What's being born is a world where what you believe and how you live actually match. Where your values aren't just private thoughts but public actions. Where authenticity isn't a luxury but a necessity. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction is demanding this. Saturn says, build something real. Neptune says, build it from your deepest truth. Together they're saying, no more pretending, No more compromising your soul for security. No more spiritual bypassing while the world burns. What you dream, you must build. What you believe, you must live. What you know is true, you must act on. And here's what I need you to understand about birth, about why you are here right now during this exact cosmic labor. Birth requires two things. It requires the one being born, the new consciousness, the new era, the new world trying to emerge. And it requires someone to receive it. A midwife, a witness, hands ready to catch what's coming. You are both. You are being born right now. Whatever you were before 2020, before these last hard years, before this moment, that version of you is being pushed through a cosmic birth canal. The pressure you've felt, the pain, the sense of not fitting in your old life anymore. That's you, being born into who you actually are, into who you came here to be. And at the same time, you are the midwife of a new world. Your sensitivity, the thing that makes you feel everything so deeply, that's not a burden. That's the hands that can feel when the contractions are coming. That's the awareness that knows what the world in labor needs. Your restlessness, the inability to just accept things as they are, that's not dysfunction. That's the midwife who refuses to let the birth go wrong. Your presence here, alive, awake, watching this video at whatever hour it is, that's not random. That's a soul who volunteered, who looked at this moment in history and said, "This is the birth I want to attend. This is the delivery I came to witness and support." You chose this. You chose to be here when everything is hard, because everything is changing. You chose the contractions. You chose the pressure. You chose the pain that comes right before the emergence of something new. Not because you're being punished, because you're brave enough to be present for the most important birth in human history. And some part of you, some ancient, infinite part of you, knew you could handle it. Just breathe with that for a moment. Let it settle somewhere beneath thinking, beneath analyzing. Somewhere your body can hold it. You chose this. You are both the one being born and the one helping with the birth. You are exactly where you need to be. Okay, let's continue. Let's breathe for a moment. I've taken you through some intense territory. The transits, the metaphor, the weight of what you've been carrying. Now I want to turn our attention somewhere else. To you. Not to your circumstances, not to the astrology, but to who you actually are, the one living all of this, the soul inside the body that clicked on this video tonight. I want to tell you what I see when I imagine you. I see someone who has been brave in ways they don't give themselves credit for. Someone who has kept going when everything inside them wanted to stop. Someone who has asked hard questions when it would have been easier to stay asleep. I see someone who feels too much and has been told that's a problem. Someone whose sensitivity makes them permeable to the world's pain, who absorbs what others seem to easily deflect. But here's what they didn't tell you. That sensitivity is perception. You feel everything because you're able to perceive everything. And perception is power. I see someone who has never quite fit, who has always felt slightly out of step with the world around them, who has watched others seem to find contentment in things that left you hollow. And you've wondered if you're broken, if there's something wrong with your wanting apparatus, why you can't just be satisfied. But I want to offer you another explanation. What if you don't fit because you weren't meant to? What if the reason you can't settle into a world that's dying is because you're built for the world that's being born? What if your dissatisfaction isn't dysfunction, but guidance? Your soul saying, not this, so you'll keep moving toward what's actually yours. What if everything that's made you feel like an outsider is actually preparation for being an insider somewhere better? I want to name some things about you. Things you might not have said out loud. Things you might not have let yourself fully believe. You are more perceptive than you've been told. You see things others miss. You feel shifts before they're visible. You sense truth beneath surfaces. This is not anxiety or paranoia. This is accurate perception that a numb world calls excessive. You are more resilient than you realize. You have survived every hard day so far, every wave of despair, every 3 a.m. where you weren't sure you'd make it, and you're still here, still seeking, still growing. That's not weakness wearing thin, that's strength you've stopped recognizing because you've had to use it constantly. You are needed more than you know, not the polished version of you, not the version that has it all figured out. This version, the messy, uncertain, still becoming version. The one who asks questions and feels deeply and refuses to pretend. That is what this moment needs. The world isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be present, to be real, to be brave enough to keep going when you're not sure of the way. I don't say this to everyone. I don't say this lightly, but I need you to hear it because I think you've been waiting a long time for someone to say it and mean it. I want you to hear something, and I want you to let it land somewhere deeper than your mind, somewhere your body can hold it. You were made for this, not made to be destroyed by it, not made to merely survive it, made for it, built for it, designed for exactly this moment in the human story. Your sensitivity is a navigation system for times of transition. Your restlessness is a compass pointing toward authenticity. Your inability to settle is your soul's integrity, refusing to let you live a lie. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not broken or difficult or impossible to satisfy. You are exactly what a world in labor needs. And when you look back on this time, years from now, when what's being born has found its form, you will understand why it had to be so hard, why you had to feel so much, why the pressure was so relentless. You'll understand that you were being forged, that the difficulty was the making of you, that everything you carried, everything you questioned, everything you refused to accept, that was your training. And you'll be grateful. Not for the pain, you never have to be grateful for pain, but for who you became because of it, for the strength you didn't know you were building, for the wisdom you were earning through every dark night. So when the voice comes tonight, you know the one, the voice that whispers, "You're not enough, you're not ready, you don't know what you're doing." I want you to answer it differently, not by arguing, not by defending, but by stating calmly what's true. I am here. That is enough. Being present for this with my whole, imperfect, seeking self is exactly what's required. You don't have to have the answers. You just have to stay in the room. And you've been doing that. Through all of it, you've been staying in the room. That's heroism. The kind no one applauds. The kind that happens in quiet moments and lonely nights. The kind that's simply continuing to show up when you don't know why you should. I see that, I honor that, and I want you to honor it too. Now let's talk about what's actually possible. Because understanding the transits matters, and understanding yourself matters. But what you're really asking, what you've been asking since you clicked on this video, is what's ahead? What's coming? Is there any reason to hope? Yes, there is. 2026 is not a year of endings, it's a year of beginnings. More than that, it's a year of multiple beginnings. Neptune starting a new 165-year cycle. Saturn starting a new 28-year cycle. Uranus beginning its 7-year journey through Gemini. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction planting seeds at the very first degree of the zodiac. This is a convergence of fresh starts that almost never happens. And what does that mean practically? What might actually emerge from all this intensity? Imagine spirituality freed from institutions that have controlled and corrupted it. Not the death of faith, the liberation of it. Direct access to wisdom traditions. Genuine guidance available to everyone, not just those born into certain cultures or wealthy enough to afford certain teachers. Imagine education transformed. Not the factory model designed for the industrial age, but learning that honors how people actually learn. Different paths for different minds. Knowledge that's applied, not just accumulated. Imagine technology serving connection instead of manufacturing loneliness. Social media that actually connects us. AI used to expand human capability rather than replace human meaning. Imagine leadership that combines strength with wisdom. People in power who are brave enough to make hard decisions, but humble enough to consider their impact. Leaders chosen for their integrity, not their ability to manipulate. Imagine work that aligns with values, not just for a privileged few, but as an expectation, as a normal part of life. The question, but does it pay? Finally sharing space with, but does it matter? These aren't utopian fantasies. These are the possibilities contained in the seeds being planted right now. They won't bloom overnight, but they're what 2026 is planting. And for you personally, what's possible? Your authentic self has never had more cosmic support. All this Aries energy, the sign of new beginnings, courage, genuine expression, is creating a window for reinvention that doesn't open often. That career change you've been fantasizing about, the one you've talked yourself out of 100 times, the support for authentic action is stronger than it's been in decades. Those relationships that have been based more on obligation than genuine connection, this energy doesn't support pretense. Truth cuts through. What's real deepens. What's not completes. That creative project you've been sitting on, the one you keep saying isn't ready, isn't good enough, isn't the right time for, 2026 is asking you, if not now, when? The courage to share something authentic is available. The willingness to fail forward is in the air. The support for brave first steps is everywhere. Maybe you've been thinking about writing something, a book, a blog, a letter you've never sent. Uranus in Gemini is the writer's transit, the communicator's moment. Maybe you've been feeling called to teach something you know, to share what you've learned. Saturn in Aries rewards those who step into authority they've earned. Maybe you've been dreaming of creating something with your hands, art, a business, a home, a life that looks like you designed it, rather than defaulted into it. Neptune in Aries is giving dreams their fire. What's yours? What's the thing you keep coming back to? I want to be clear. I'm not saying everything will be easy. The Aries energy can be intense. The birth metaphor isn't gentle. What's being asked is real courage, the kind that shakes and sweats and doesn't know for sure. But the energy is available. The door is open. And what you've been wanting. There has never been a better cosmic moment to move toward it. And because I respect you, I want to be honest about the other side too. These energies are powerful, and power can be used for destruction as well as creation. Neptune in Aries, at its shadow, can mean spiritual ego. People so convinced they've found the truth that they become rigid, even dangerous, in defending it. Saturn in Aries, at its shadow, can mean burnout, pushing too hard, harsh self-criticism disguised as discipline. Uranus in Gemini, at its shadow, means misinformation chaos, so much conflicting truth that no one knows what's real anymore. This isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to prepare you. You'll know the shadow side by how it feels in your body. Truth lands with a kind of settling, even hard truth. But spiritual ego, false certainty, righteous aggression, these create a tightness, a guardedness, a closing rather than an opening. Trust your body, it knows the difference. The difference between people who thrive in transformative times and people who are swept away by them isn't luck. It's discernment. It's the ability to work with the energy consciously instead of being overtaken by it unconsciously. It's knowing when to push and when to rest, when to speak and when to listen, when something is genuine intuition and when it's just ego dressed in spiritual clothing. This is learnable, this is practicable, and the fact that you're here, seeking to understand, already tells me you have what it takes. So here's what's coming, the timeline for 2026. January 26th, Neptune enters Aries. The dream wakes up. The vision finds its fire. February 13th, Saturn enters Aries. Structure follows. The building begins. February 19th through 20th. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. The birth moment, the cosmic seed, the water breaks. April 25th, Uranus enters Gemini. Communication revolutionizes. Information transforms. These are the dates to watch. These are the doorways. And I'll be creating more content as each of these moments arrives, going deeper into what they mean, how to work with them, what to watch for in your own life. Because this isn't a one-time understanding. This is an ongoing relationship with what's unfolding. 2026 isn't an event, it's a threshold. And crossing a threshold takes time. But here's what I want you to carry with you. Whatever comes, the intensity, the challenges, the moments when it feels like too much, this is birth. This is how new worlds come into being. This is the price of being present for the turning of an age. And when you feel lost, because you will, I want you to return to this. You chose this. You are exactly where you need to be. The pain is not punishment, it's passage. And on the other side is something worth everything it took to get there. Hold on to that. Let it be your anchor when the waves come. Before we close, I want to give you something practical. Something to carry with you through 2026. Because understanding is one thing, living it is another. So here's my guidance, not rules, but wisdom that might help. First, dream with courage, but build with discipline. This Saturn-Neptune energy rewards visions you're willing to work for, not fantasies you hope will magically appear, not dreams you use to escape from reality, but visions that you show up for day after day, even when the magic isn't obvious. Dream big, then do the work. Second, question your information ruthlessly. With Uranus in Gemini, misinformation will be more sophisticated than ever. AI-generated content, manipulated media, confidence without competence, everywhere you look. Your discernment is your protection. Don't believe something just because it sounds spiritual. Don't dismiss something just because it challenges you. Think, verify. Stay humble about what you think you know. Third, move toward authenticity, not just novelty. All this Aries energy makes change exciting for its own sake. It can be tempting to blow up your life just because you're bored. Call it growth when it's really just running. Before you make major changes, ask yourself, is this moving me toward my truth or just away from my discomfort? There's a difference. Know which one you're doing. Fourth, take care of your body. You can't navigate a paradigm shift if you're exhausted, depleted, running on caffeine and anxiety. You need your physical vessel strong for this. That means sleep, real food, movement, time outside, basic things that get sacrificed when life feels intense. Don't sacrifice them. They're not optional. Fifth, find your people, not just anyone who talks about the same things you do. People who help you stay grounded. People who will tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. People who challenge your certainties without dismissing your knowing. Community, in times of transformation, isn't a luxury. It's a survival strategy. Sixth, document your journey. You're living through something historic, something you'll want to remember, something future generations might want to understand. Write things down, record voice notes, keep some kind of journal, not for anyone else, for yourself. For the you who will look back and want to remember what it felt like to be here when everything changed. And finally, underneath all the practical guidance, the most important thing, Trust yourself. Not blind trust, not the trust that refuses to question, but the deep trust that says, I am capable of navigating this. I have what I need. I will figure it out as I go. No astrologer, no spiritual teacher, no external authority can tell you exactly what to do with your one precious life. We can give you context, timing, patterns to watch for, but the actual living of your life, that guidance has to come from within. And if you're here, watching this, resonating with this, that guidance is already there. You just need to trust it. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with something. Consider it a blessing, an intention, a hope I'm holding for you as you walk into whatever comes next. To you who were brave enough to be born in these times, to you who carry the sensitivity of the old world and the vision of the new, to you who have struggled, who have questioned, who have refused to settle for lives that don't match your souls, may 2026 bring you the courage you've been seeking. May you dream dreams worth fighting for, and may you find the discipline to build them. May you know the difference between information and wisdom, and may you speak only truths that heal. May you find your people, the ones who see you, who challenge you, who grow with you. May you be gentle with yourself when you stumble, and brave enough to keep going. May you remember, in the hardest moments, that the pressure is not punishment, it's passage. May you remember, when people ask you years from now, what was 2026 like? May you remember that you were awake, that you understood what was happening, that while others stumbled through it confused, you walked through it conscious, present, aligned with what was being born. May you trust that you chose this, that you are both the one being born and the one receiving what's being born. And may you never ever forget, you were made for this moment. You are exactly where you need to be, and the world needs precisely what you have to offer. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, your attention, your open heart. Thank you for being someone who seeks to understand rather than just react, who wants to participate in the turning of the age rather than be swept away by it. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to be part of this journey as 2026 unfolds. Share this with someone who might need it. Leave a comment and tell me what's alive for you right now. Let me know you're there. Because we're in this together. Whatever's coming, we face it together. 2026 is waiting for you. The big three are waiting for you. The most important year in human history, and you get to be there. You get to be part of it. You get to help write it. What a time to be alive. I'll see you in the new world, because that's where we're going, together.